The following program is brought to you by PodcastOne Sportsnet.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is sponsored in part by DDP Yoga. Hey man, working hundreds of matches over the years, ain't no surprise that my body's taking its share of bumps and bruises. And my buddy Diamond Dallas Page knows all about the wear and tear the ring takes on your body, and his DDP Yoga fitness system was specifically designed to burn fat, reduce pain, and heal from injuries. Dallas is so positive that you'll absolutely love the DDPY program and using the DDPY app that he's doing something he ain't never done before. He's going to give you 7 days free to try it out. That's a week to try the program, explore the app, and own your life. And it's completely free. DDP Yoga can work for all ages, weights, and fitness levels. It's a kick-ass cardio workout that will dramatically increase your flexibility and strengthen your core like never before, all with minimal joint impact. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can save 20% off an annual membership for the DDP Yoga Now app off any DVD pack. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to get started. And check us out. DDP is headed back to the UK and is putting on another DDPY Inspiration Meets Perspiration workshop for one night only. Thursday, April 19th at Frome Sport and Fitness in Somerset, England. Come on over to this incredible 3-hour workshop where you'll get to meet DDP, get a kick-ass workout, and hear DDP's secrets to staying motivated. Get your workshop tickets at ddpyogaworkshops.com. Can't make the workshop? Don't worry. You can still catch DDP in person at the Wales Comic-Con April 21st and April 22nd. Details and tickets are at walescomiccon.com.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting here at 317 Gimmick Street. Holy smokes. Ever since morning, it's been raining cats and dogs over here. Now, right where I'm at in Marina Del Rey, things are going to be fine. But out there in the outlying areas, right outside of Los Angeles, man, there's going to be a lot of mudslides because of all the fires burning the vegetation. Some of these areas are going to get 4 to 5 inches of rain, and man, they've already started evacuating some of the neighborhoods. There's going to be mudslides. A lot of people are going to lose their houses. I wish everybody the best in this. Hopefully everybody comes out good, but I don't think that's going to happen. When it rains out here in California, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, because of all the vicious cycles of the fires and the rains and just, can't no vegetation ever really grow. So the dirt can't stay nowhere. On these inclines, when it starts raining, it turns into mudslides. So we got a full-blown cluster muck going over here. Don't matter if you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, down there in the coastal regions in the South. Everybody's going to get some. Hell, the East Coast, they're getting a bunch of snowstorms and stuff still. So it has been a crazy winter, and the craziness continues out here in the main streets of Los Angeles. I wish everybody out here that are in harm's way the best and hang in there. Anyway, moving on down, man, I tell you what, I just had a real good time talking to Edge and Christian on their podcast. I don't know, the podcast that reeks of awesomeness. And I was on the phone with Edge Christian and the one and only Bret the Hitman Hart. And those guys wanted to have us both on and kind of break down the historic match we had at WrestleMania 13 way back in the day in Chicago at the Rosemount Horizon, one of my favorite matches of my career. And so they kind of picked our brains, and we kind of shot the breeze, talked about the different elements of the match. I thought it was going to be a recipe for disaster, trying to make a submission match, which you put Stone Cold in because I had a very limited offense and no real submission moves in my arsenal. So I thought it was going to be a clustermuck. Turned out to be an instant classic that would stand the test of time and an iconic image at the end of the match with me bleeding like a stuck pig in that sharpshooter applied by Bret the Hitman Hart in what was to become a double turn. Bret would go from baby to heel. I would go from heel to baby as the work and the storylines progressed. Nonetheless, man, I had a good time talking to those guys. It was good to hear Bret's voice, hear his thoughts on the match, his takeaways, and some of the things that happened in the match. One thing in particular that I forgot, and a couple of tidbits of information that I've never told anybody about that match. So look for that match. If you look up Edge and Christian on social media, you can find out when that podcast is going to drop. I guess we shot the breeze for damn near about an hour and a half. Had a good time going down memory lane, and it's nice to hear Bret Hart's voice, so check that out. I was real happy with the interview, talking about that match, because it meant so much for my career. And Bret the Hitman Hart, as an opponent inside the squared circle against Stone Cold Steve Austin, was a huge part of me reaching the success that I reached. But anyway, check that out on their podcast. Today, man, I'm sitting here shooting the breeze with TedFowler361 down there in Rockport, Texas. Gave him a call the other day and said, hey, man, you got anything to talk about? He goes, damn right. So we hooked it up, came over here, shot the breeze, and had a conversation. We got disconnected for some technology problems, and then we got hooked back up. Sean over at PodcastOne is going to take care of that little error with me. Always seems to be a technological issue with this show, but nonetheless, it was good to hear from Ted Fowler. Hear what he's doing down there in Rockport, Texas, staying busy, working 7 days a week, trying to put that city back together. And then coming up on next Tuesday's show, I got a direct message from James Ellsworth, former WWE superstar. He got his notice a while back and has gone on to work some independent shots. And I was always real enamored with the James Ellsworth character on WWE. Watching, him cut his promos, doing all the things, the shenanigans he did, the match with Braun Strowman, the match with AJ Styles, and watching that kid get over. Guy's been around since, he got into business 2002, and then he finally got that call up to WWE, and you'll hear him tell a story about how that match with Braun Strowman was born, and Arn Anderson comments and stuff like that. But it was good, really good talking to James and connecting with him. He's a guy that I never got a chance to spend a whole lot of time with or talk about, but I remember watching him on the WWE product on television saying, hey man, this guy is really getting over. And, as James will be the first to tell you, he's not the biggest guy in the world. And so he had a lot of things going against him, but it was that character. It was the delivery of the lines, and he'll get into that. And damn, if the kid and the stories didn't get himself over, and all of a sudden he gets a phone call and WWE career comes to an end. Maybe it will begin somewhere again down the road. But nonetheless, he is my guest coming up on the Tuesday podcast of the Steve Austin Show. And I had a good time talking with that guy, so I hope you guys will check it out. Man, I'm fixing to bust into my gym and get my workout on after I finish this open and get my clothes done. I'm training like a madman. Got a couple of things coming up. I'm looking forward to going down there to WrestleCon on April 7th and 8th, and that'll be a Saturday and a Sunday, the day before and the day of WrestleMania, and signing autographs, taking pictures, and meeting everybody. There's going to be people coming in from all over the world. I don't know how many countries they're coming from, but it's going to be cool down there. I'm looking forward to the atmosphere and the energy that WrestleMania always brings to a city where they're having that major event in, and how many millions and millions of dollars that product, that company brings into the region that they go to. So it's going to be pretty spectacular at that WrestleCon event. I mean, everybody that's not in WWE, a lot of former WWE superstars are going to be there, but pretty much anybody and everybody's going to be there. So it's going to be a good time, and I'm looking forward to it. Training, just getting in shape to make a good appearance, sign autographs, and do all that BS. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody if you come on down there. But anyway, with no further ado, without me sitting here flapping my gums, I'm going to get here and get Ted Fowler361 on the phone and shoot the breeze and talk about the good old days. But before we get to Ted Fowler, here's some words from our sponsor. Backbreaker, Deathlock, Brainbuster, Exploder, Goozle, Tombstone, Skullcracker, Vertebreaker, Spear, Gore, Stunner. Whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or even a pro wrestler, if you hear certain words on a job site, it can make work painful and uncomfortable, usually for your opponent. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro work shirts, pants, and boots. Head to toe, Timberland Pro. Not uncomfortable.
True crime fans rejoice. Small Town Murder is now on PodcastOne. Crime and Sports' James Petrogallo and Jimmy Wisman look at small towns, what makes them tick, and the murders that took place there. In-depth research, horrible tragedy, and the host's comedic spin on the whole thing. What can go wrong? Subscribe to hear new episodes every Thursday on PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, and Apple Podcasts.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
All right, I just hit the record button. Me and TedFowler361 are going to try to slug through a podcast without dropping an F-bomb. I don't know if it's humanly possible, but if anybody's going to give it the damnedest try, it's going to be me and TedFowler361. Hello, Teddy. How are you today?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Well, other than the fact that you and me have been cluster effing around for the last 5 minutes, you can't hear me, and then I'm trying to hear the damn, to check the levels on this thing, and I got it minimized. So every time I pushed it, it was down there in the right-hand corner. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So after I figured out anyway, it's a cluster, Ted. I'm opening up a Diet Red Bull right now, the old 8.4 fluid ounces. I need about 16. I'd rather be drinking Jack. It's too early to drink Jack. I haven't worked out yet, so I'm going to drink a Red Bull while I have a conversation with you. How you doing down in Rockport? It's been a while since we talked.
Yes, sir, it has been. It is 8 o'clock here. That means it's happy hour. So I have a Jack and Coke in front of me, trying to relax after another day down here in the grind.
God dang it, man. I went to the little grocery store I shop at and trying to get tuned up, making an appearance down there at WrestleMania in New Orleans. I'm not being a part of WrestleMania. I'm going down to do WrestleCon for the 7th and the 8th. So I figured, hey, man, I got in pretty good shape on that keto diet. And then, of course, as all things happen, hell, I got back on the skid. So now I'm back on Skid Row. I stopped at the little Jack Daniels station there at the liquor store there in the grocery store. And I had a choice, Teddy. I had 3 options. A was a half gallon, B was a liter, C was a fifth. Can you guess which one I got?
A.
Now, normally, Teddy, you would be right. I would have got a half gallon. But seeing as I got to get fit, I went with the C option and just got the fifth. The thing that's easier to tell about the fifth is because it's a smaller bottle, you can see the volume, go down pretty easy. So you can really get a hold of how much you're actually drinking. With that damn half gallon, it's all out the damn window.
You don't know it until the next morning when you open up the freezer and the bottle's half gone and you're like... Oh, Colorado. It's no wonder my head hurts.
Well, that's exactly. Everything adds up. That's why I got such a damn headache. God dang. We still got this podcast going here. We're not saying any F-bombs, but pretty much about everything else will fly as long as it's organic to the conversation. And I hate to hear people say organic. I hate people say surreal. What else do I hate people say? All kinds of stupid shit, nonetheless. Dude, how's work down there? What are you up to?
You know what? I just finished a piling repair job in Key Allegro. Tomorrow morning, we're changing out about half a dozen windows for some people in the morning. And then in the afternoon, people had their roof ripped off, put a new roof on for them. And now I'm putting tongue and groove Naughty Pine up on the ceiling of their bedroom. Just rebuilding stuff.
Hey, man, how's the roofing stuff going? Have you caught on to it? You got it all figured out now?
You know what I do? I mean, once I'm no expert in it. I couldn't do one start to finish, but I am picking up on it. It's like anything else, not terribly difficult, but there are, it is a process and you have to follow, the right procedures to keep it leak free. And, touch wood, man, we haven't had any leaks yet.
Well, I got a question for you because you just brought up the word windows, and I'm over here in this little last studio place I got right here beside 316 Gimmick Street. The house was built, I think, in about 1953. It's a small house, about 1,100 square feet, and man, these windows, Teddy, they got to be original windows. They ain't worth a damn. The heat doesn't stay in the house, and the coldness doesn't stay in the house. Ain't got no AC. But my biggest problem is not the heat or the cold, Teddy. I got a 15-pound ball of fur next door that barks nonstop 24/7. When that sumbitch hears me walk on the gravel to come over here, he starts yapping at the top of his lungs. Now, I'm not going to do anything to the dog. I would think that the people that own the dog would have enough sense, common sense. Hell, they got off work. They're there right now, and the sumbitch is barking his full head off. It's bothering me over here. It's got to be tearing them to shreds over there. So my question, Teddy, to go back to the windows is, Dude, what I got to do? Get some soundproof hurricane windows? What I need to do to just block that GD dog out of my goddamn podcast studio?
Man, hurricane windows would help with the sound deadening because obviously they're, thicker.
What kind of projects you got going on there, Teddy? Because I got some projects I'm going to drop on you. You want to share one of yours, or you want me to go share one of mine with you?
Sure.
Okay, so anyway, got the studio next door, right? And that's where I'm sitting at right now. Callie's laying right beside me, man. She's a year and 1 month old. Man, that dog is crazier than a shithouse rat. She's going to be a good dog, but she is a handful. So anyway, I was over at podcast, and Kristen come over, and she sees this black cat in the front yard over here. And you know how Kristen is. She's a dog lover. We ain't really cat people, but since she sees the cat, she figures ain't nobody feeding the cat. So for the past couple months, every time I come over here to shut this place up, I put out a can of cat food and some dry food to go for the damn cat. Now we got a water dish for the little bastard. So it's got a collar on it, but the collar's just ringing ass tight. You can tell that's something that, what we're trying to do now, Teddy, is we're trying to trap the cat with like a have a heart trap or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we want to catch him, cut the collar off so the sumbitch can breathe, take him down to the vet, get him some shots because he looked like he got a little mange or something going on. Right. So, I'm in here in the mean streets of Los Angeles, California. I'm not out there like Mitch, my brother-in-law, trapping a mountain lion. I ain't trying to trap a tiger. Hell, I ain't trying to trap a bobcat. I'm trying to trap a damn house cat. That's the kind of exciting shit I do in Los Angeles. And to make it sound just a little bit tougher, this ain't no house cat. This is an alley cat. He's a black cat, so if you're superstitious, could bring me bad luck. So I don't care what I got to do, Teddy. I'm going to put a little have a heart trap out there, trap that little bastard, take his ass. I'm going to cut the collar off of him. He's got a tag on it. And so, of course, Kristen does all the damn protocol steps that you would do when you find an animal such as this. She puts an ad in the local neighborhood gimmick paper, the watch sheet, or whatever you call it. Everybody finds out what's going on in the neighborhood, who's getting broken into, who ain't, all that kind of stuff. So, of course, she puts in, hey, found a black cat, put a picture of it. How many responses you think she got, Teddy?
None.
Not one single person claimed responsibility for this damn cat. It's got a tag on it. Don't know if the person kicked the bucket. What's up? I just know that I'm feeding the sumbitch every single night, trying to get the collar off of it, and that's one of the most exciting things in my life right now is trying to trap a damn alley cat so I can get us some medical assistance.
I'll tell you what, it could be a heck of a lot more exciting if you do, in fact, trap that alley cat and try to take it out of that trap, because I bet that thing's going to come out with guns blazing.
Dude, I already thought about that because I know that cat's got his claws, and I ain't stupid. I ain't going to get no welding glove. I ain't even going to mess with the sumbitch. Teddy, this cat probably weighs about, I don't know what a cat weighs, but he's on the small side, 8 or 10 pounds. But he's got claws, and that sumbitch would tear me to shreds, and that'd be another thing. I'd be walking around the mean streets of Los Angeles with a patch on my right eye. What happened, Stone Cold? That little cat I was trying to trap, scratch my eye out.
Oh, Winky the cat got the best of me. Yeah, that may be an endeavor you don't want to partake in, trying to catch that cat. I mean, I'm all about helping animals, but people with their cats, they're different, man. They're outdoor cats, and people don't look at them the same. Not everybody. That's kind of a generalization, but a lot of people. It's an animal. Let it go out there and hope for the best. Unlike dog owners who, for the most part, keep their animals locked up. Which brings me to a funny story.
What happened?
Saturday night, man. I don't know what happened. But when I went to the liquor store, the Lord hates a quitter, so I picked up 2 half gallons.
Who said the Lord didn't like a quitter?
I read that somewhere. I'm sitting here at the house, and I start drinking old Jack and Coke. And about 3 a.m., I mean, obviously I'm in bed. About 3 a.m., I wake up, and I have Thunderdome going on in my bedroom because, now I got 4 dogs. So I'm looking around going, it's 3 a.m. This is not acceptable. I walk outside. I turn the light on, open the door, let everybody go outside to go to the bathroom, thinking they'll come back in and lay down and, we can catch a few more Z's. That is not the case. They come inside and they are worse after going to the bathroom. So I'm still about half in the bag. I go out and I open up the laundry room door, which is basically the entry to the kennel, get all 4 dogs up in there, close the door, stagger back into the house, plop down on the bed, and go to sleep. Well, right about first light, my neighbor goes for his daily walk, and I hear a very deep bark coming from my front yard. And I go, you know what? That sounds amazingly like Cassie, and she's not supposed to be in the front yard. I walk over to the blind, open it up. Sure enough, I'm looking at Cassie. She's out of the kennel. I'm like, oh, God. I go to the back of the house, out the door. Those guys were playing grab ass, and they knocked open the gate to the kennel. I usually put a little carabiner clip on the latch. I failed to do so. Now I'm looking at 3 dogs. My white pointer is gone. So I drive around for about an hour and a half looking for this dog. She's got a microchip. She's got collar on, and she's the only one with a rabies tag on, because I don't like to hear those rabies tag, rattle. I get back to the house, and I said, well, I've done all I can. Hopefully somebody calls. I walk outside to start a load of laundry. Who do you think is standing outside of the kennel? Oh, Mira. She was running around in the brush somewhere, and she's like, hey, dude, I'm ready for breakfast now that I've had, but yeah, I don't know where she went. I don't have the slightest idea. But when I walked out there, she's standing there on the steps going, hey, I'm ready to be let back in.
Dude, I know about your 3 German short-hair pointers, but how did you pick up the 4th dog? I saw it on Instagram.
Oh, that brindle boxer. Yeah, dude, I went and did a job for some people on the very road that I live on. And they've got a couple of acres. This brindle boxer's running around. She's a sweetheart of a dog, just starved for affection, spayed female. She'll be 2 years old in April, and I've got my guys working. I'm over on the other side of the house playing with a dog. I'm just having a great time. You guys keep working. I'm going to go, play with the dog. But when the job got done, I went inside to give those people a bill, and they were like, hey, we want to talk to you about some more work. And I said, cool. I said, maybe we could work out a trade agreement on that dog. And they were like, oh, that's a friend of ours and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, if you ever need a pet sitter, I'm right down the road, just kind of tongue in cheek, and, down the road you go. Well, the girl works at the Speedy Stop here, the convenience store. I stopped in there one day for breakfast taco, and she says, hey, were you serious about taking that boxer? And she's like, my house got destroyed in the storm. I'm living in an apartment. I've got to keep her crated up all day. It's not fair to the dog. And I said, hey, why don't you let me keep her for, a month or so until you get in a better spot? And she's like, no, you know what? I just soon give her away and, kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I said, well, 4 can't be much more work than 3. So I went ahead and got her over here to the house.
How did the boxer fit in with the German short hairs?
You ought to see it. You know how my short hairs are anyway. They are, they're hell on wheels. This poor boxer tries to keep up with them, but she's a little timid, and rightly so. You saw, how maniacal my pointers are, but she'll give chase as best she can, and her and Mira just growl and flop around and just, play like a couple of kids. It is so much fun to watch them, until they get into the house, and then they start tearing shit up in the house. But yeah, no, and she she has fit right in with the pack, sleeps on the bed with everybody, jumps up on the couch, Jesus. Curls up. Yeah, that's why I got a California king bed, so I can accommodate, me and 4 dogs.
Well, how is the boxer as a breed? Because I know your other 3 dogs, well, I know the 2 hunt, and the other one's probably going to get spun up here pretty quick, but how is the boxer just as a breed to hang out with? Because I don't really know too much about the boxers.
Dude, she's goofy and playful and not aggressive. Like I said, a little bit timid. And she's real small. She only weighs about 30 pounds, and she's almost 2 years old. But just a beautiful. Well, the drill. She was pretty skinny. Trying to fatten her up. But just obedient. The sit, the stay. She's learning how to walk on the leash, but as a kid, I wanted a boxer. I just thought they looked cool, but I never got one. And I always went bird dogs, and I did, I'm a big baby about animals anyway, or especially dogs, so I couldn't, I just, gravitated to her that first time, so may as well take her. What the hell?
But that begs to ask a question, Teddy. With 3 dogs, and now you bring in the 4th boxer into the fold, everybody's sleeping in bed with you. That used to be known as the Boom Boom Room from podcasts back in the day. What's up with that?
Dude, every once in a while, I bring one in from out of town. So the dogs and I kind of have an agreement. I keep feeding them a good quality food, 2 square meals a day. Turn the air conditioning on for them out there in the dog house when it's hot. They allow me my conjugal visits from time to time. Yeah, because everybody's like, "Oh, your dogs are so cute." It's like, really? Yeah, hold on to your skirt, sugar. I'm going to let them in.
All right, let's take a quick pause for the calls and give big ups to TrueCar. Now, if you're looking to buy a car, you're probably familiar with terms like MSRP. You might even know what it stands for. But what does it actually mean? The same goes for invoice, list price, dealer price. It's enough to confuse anybody. All you're really looking for is a price that actually means something. Introducing True Price from TrueCar. Now you can know exactly what you'll pay for the car you want, including fees and accessories before you even get to the dealership. TrueCar dealers will show you the true price on cars like the one you want, all from the comfort of home. And how do you know if your true price is a great price? Because TrueCar shows you what other people paid for the same car you want. And your certified dealers know this, so they set their true price competitively so they can win your business. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. You're also going to need car insurance for that new vehicle. Go to geico.com and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today.
Hello, guys. It's MMA fighter Chael Sonnen. Check out my podcast, You're Welcome, with Chael Sonnen every Wednesday and Friday right here at PodcastOne. We cover the latest in mixed martial arts and everything else going on in the world of sport. Listen free to You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen, exclusively available on Apple Podcasts, at PodcastOne.com, and on the Podcast One app. If you love the show, share it with a friend and leave us a rating and review.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
God dang, Teddy, we brought Neil, my nephew, and Brandy and Emma down to L.A., and we drove up to Nevada to the place. And then we flew Neil into Reno. We picked his ass up. And we were over there hanging out, having a good time. And, Neil golfs for the Grenada High School golf team. And he's pretty damn good. So, man, there's all kinds of golf courses over in the area that I was at. But, of course, we was trying to sightsee and keep everybody happy, so we never got a chance to go golfing. So we end up back in Los Angeles. We'll get rejected at this one place. They're doing repairs on the course. Of all times, when my nephew's down, they're doing repairs on the course. So we find a place not too far from my house, and we go out to the driving range. And you got a game of golf, Teddy. How long you been playing golf?
Man, probably about 15 years.
Are you worth the shit?
Years. Dude, I'm mid-80s. Shooting
pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you got to remember, dude, I also got a tee box here at the house and a couple of holes. So, I got,
that's right.
Yeah.
It's like that time I asked you if you wanted to play darts at the ranch. Or I asked you if you did play. So, I play a little bit. And, of course, then you continued to thump me. And I don't even think I won one goddamn game. That was bullshit. It's like getting hustled in a pool hall. So anyway, that only upped my alcohol intake. Can't stand losing. So anyway, we go to this driving range, and man, shit, Teddy, I ain't picked up a club in, 10 years. And before that, it was 10 more years. And in my entire life, I've probably golfed, 4 games, maybe 5. And as far as like going to the driving range and just hitting balls, I might have hit, 10 or 20 buckets in my entire life. So we go out there, and Neil's pretty damn good. Dude's got a good, smooth, easy swing, just cranks on it. Doesn't even look like he's hitting it hard, and he's just knocking the dog shit out of that ball, and it's flying straight. You'd really enjoy it because you know a little bit more about the game than I do. So, dude, I go over there. My right arm doesn't straighten out. It's like handing a golf club to a T-Rex and say, "Here, man, drive this thing." I did the little arbitrary stretches, twist from side to side, made sure my hamstrings were loosened up. I went through the warm-ups. Dude, the first two I hit, I sent into orbit. I think they're still rotating around the Earth's atmosphere. Dude, I got a hold of two of them, and then when Neil came back, I think he went to take a leak or something, and from that point on, dude, I got lucky twice is what I'm saying. From that point on, just the ugliness of my form reared its head. I mean, Kristen and me went today, and I was hitting them pretty good last night because I'm hooked on it now, and all I have is a driver. I went down to the sporting goods store, and man, they had one of those video screens that you hit into, and it tells you all the miles per hour, this, that, whatever. And I went through a couple of clubs and ended up with this damn club that I got. And so I was hitting them better with my new club. But anyway, dude, I'm out there with Neil, and he took a video of me that I didn't know he was taking of me. And I only take about a 3/4 swing. I know this now because I watched the video, and then I don't follow through at the end. So I'm starting off with the 3/4 swing. I don't follow through, and the rest of the swing between the back swing and the follow through looks like shit as well. Dude, I'm hitting them straight. I'm hitting them pretty far. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm watching, like, what's the guy's name? Bubba Watson. I'm watching Tiger Woods. I'm watching Jordan Spieth. All the guys that are like the hot-ass golfers right now. I mean, I'm watching these guys. Dude, when they hit those balls, they just like they're shot out of a cannon. Straight down the fairway. I mean, 350 yards, stuff like that.
Right.
And, dude, my swing looks so jacked up. And here's the thing. I'm out there, and I'm ripping them. Once I get consistent with what I'm doing, even though my swing looks like shit, I'm still hitting them pretty good. But I haven't even got on a course yet. I'm going to get some irons and go through the paces, and I need lessons. I need any kind of help at all. But, dude, it feels good when you hit a good one. But when you watch, or at least when I watch myself back, I'm looking at these guys around me, and there's people out there that are outstanding, and then there's people that are out there that are actually worse than me.
Sure.
I mean, I'll miss the I'll miss the obligatory ball here and there. I'll just swing for the fence and just miss it. And when you whiff one, you just kind of sit there with your thumb up your ass, and you're thinking, the guy behind you saw you. And I hit a couple of worm burners, and then I hit a couple of just dribble out there. Dude, if every now and then, if I hit one and it doesn't go past 10 feet, I will go out there and retrieve that ball and hit it again.
Dude, I have done that too.
Dude, I ain't too proud. Piss on a mulligan. I'm going to go out there and take that summbitch back. Have you ever videoed yourself? Because, God, you talk about a hair-raising, eye-opening experience, dude. Seeing yourself on video, because all of a sudden I'll start swinging pretty good and I'm knocking the hell out of them straight. But when you watch that footage back, there's so much room for improvement in my swing. It is friggin' unbelievable.
Dude, I have never videoed myself, nor have I been videoed on my golf swing. But I will tell you this, man. I took lessons from a guy, and it was the best money that I had ever spent, because when I was in college and afterwards, playing softball with all of those yahoos, we all golfed, but it was just, like Caddyshack and Caddy's day, and once I got serious about it, I took some lessons from a guy, and boy, I mean, it was life-changing for my golf game. And then I had a custom set of clubs made because, I was doing off the rack clubs, and being 6'5", that's not the way to go. Yeah, no, dude. I mean, sometimes you'll hit one that's just beautiful, and other times you could have hit it further with a tennis racket. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm 6'5", 250, teeing off, and I top the ball, and it goes straight in the air, and with 400 miles an hour of top spin, it rolls about 4 feet away from me. And I was like, dude, are you serious? Are you serious? Yeah. So you're in for a lot of fun.
Dude, but when you get a hold of a good one, it just goes hauling ass out there and straight down the pike. And it's like nothing, there's nothing like it. It just feels good.
Oh, absolutely.
So yesterday morning I went, and a large bucket of balls over here in LA is 115 balls. It costs you $12. And so I went, I hit 115 of them. And my problem is, you know me, Teddy, I'm ADD.
Right.
You know, hell, I'm out there, I got 115 balls. Hell, I'll whack 5 of them in a minute. You know, so it's like I got to slow myself. I might hit 6 of them in a minute. I got to slow myself down because I'll just put another ball in that little gimmick tee and just start ripping. And by the time, you know, all of a sudden you get halfway through, you're blowed up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I hit the morning balls, and then I told Kristen. Then I went and did my workout. So I was tired, and I'd already hit. And of course, I go out there last night. It's about 7:30 p.m. when I get there. It lasts they stay open until 10 or 11. Got the lights going. I go out there, you know, get warmed up. I get into a stretch of about 15 or 20 just rockets, and then from there, dude, I hit the wall. I was missing the ball. I was driving it 10, 15 feet, 20 yards. And I know the dude behind me had this sweet swing, and he was just working with his irons and his game and stuff like that. So, you know, I know this guy's thinking, man, what is this guy doing out here? You know, because he wasn't there when I was hitting the good ones. He's watching me hit this dog shit.
Right.
And then I said, dude, you hit the wall. And here's how bad it was, Teddy. You know how cheap I am. I probably had about 18 balls left in that bucket. You know, I put them in that little gimmick rack in front of that little tee box. I gathered them up. I said, dude, I'm fried. You want the rest of these balls? He goes, sure, man. So I handed my balls, and I knew that it was time for me to take my ass and just get off there because I was going so far downhill and getting so down on myself. It just wasn't worth the shit.
Dude, some days it's like that. You know what you need to do? You said you only got one club. What do you got, a driver?
I got a Callaway Rogue driver. That sumbitch cost me a pretty penny, but that's the club that I hit best with on the damn video.
Right.
And that's all I got is a driver.
Dude, you need to go get like a 7 or an 8 iron. And the reason being, it's a little bit, obviously it's a shorter club because it's an iron. It's got more loft to it. So it's easier to get the ball up in the air. You know what I mean? And when the ball goes up in the air, you don't notice, you know, that you hooked it or you sliced it like when you hit your driver. You know, I mean, you got to be dead nuts on with your driver to hit it straight and long. You know, you're either, you know, making a real sharp snap hook, you know, or, you know, a power slice or, you know, yeah, but get yourself a 7 or an 8 iron, something a little more lofted. And when it starts to go bad with your driver, switch to an iron and just slow down and start, you know, popping some balls up in the air. And, you know, if nothing else, man, it'll make you feel better in your mind because you're not, you know, looking at everybody going, God, you know, I'm hitting all these worm burners. You have got to be kidding me. Oh, look at that little 13-year-old kid just hit the ball about 225 yards. You know, yeah, it's like, you little prick. You know, yeah.
Man, in the place, you know, every time I go, like when me and Kristen went this morning, it was pretty packed. And like I said, dude, you know, on one hand, I don't give a shit. On the other, I'm highly competitive.
Oh, sure.
You know, and I'm hitting these worm burners and these 10-footers. And, you know, like I went and got the one. And, of course, Kristen's right behind me. And she saw me do the swing and a miss. And now it's one thing for Neil to coach me up because he plays for the high school team. And he's been playing for years. So now Kristen, my wife, starts coaching me up because she used to play. And, you know, when your wife's sitting there telling you, hey, your left knee's all wonky and you're wobbling it.
My left knee hurts. That's why it's all wonky and I'm wobbling it. Yeah.
God, dude, when Neil told me, he goes, Uncle Steve, he goes, keep your left leg still. You know, because, you know, the pros will actually get a little bit of that left leg action. It'll come in a little bit because I've been watching slow motion on YouTube. And he goes, Uncle Steve, he goes, they can do that because they're professionals and they've got all the basics down. He goes, you need to be very rigid. I'm paraphrasing because you need to be very rigid with that left knee. You can't move it. And then, you know, he goes, you see the way I come back on my club? And, you know, he just moves, you know, with the shoulders. You know, I'm making it all about the whole torso. Dude, I'm trying to put everything in this son of a bitch.
Right.
He goes, keep it here. And I understand what he's talking about now. So when I listen to him and I just swing, I keep my left leg, you know, in the spot that it's supposed to be and don't basically move it and come back and keep my left arm straight, then I'm cranking. But again, when I watch the footage back, it's a 3/4 swing, no follow through. So what did you do when you went and got help? Because there's a bunch of yahoos out there giving golf lessons. How you know if you're getting somebody that's worth a shit?
You know what? It's just a crapshoot. You know, you sign up for one, and just get with the guy and hit some balls and see what he tells you to do. I mean, if it looks like, he's an extra from Tin Cup or something like that, then yeah, save your receipt. But this guy was kind of an older cat, and he actually approached me because I was at the driving range, and I was trying to put on a show. That's that's my foreplay. Come on, honey, you can watch me hit a bucket of balls, and then yeah. And this guy come up and basically just, got on me right there in front of this girl, and we started talking, and just in 5 minutes time, I was begging for him to give me golf lessons, and it was just you go there for an hour once a week, and just he'd sit behind you on a folding chair. Nope. You go like this, just envision this, slow down your swing, do this with your hands, do that, and it's just like school, man. He'd give you homework, go hit 500 balls and let's do it again next week. You need somebody that you don't know, because I could tell you stuff, Neil could tell you stuff, Kristen could tell you stuff, but you need somebody. This guy was a certified PGA instructor, so he knew what time it was and how to correct the stuff that I was doing, because my swing being, a ball player was more flat, and he picked right up on that and got me straightened out. Yeah.
Well, dude, here's the thing. I was talking to my one of my good friends in San Antonio, my doctor, Jimmy, and he's been out there golfing, and he takes, a golf lesson once or twice a week. Dude, man, I asked him, I said, what are you paying that guy? And I think he said about $150, $160 an hour. Man, I saw some people out there where I was at. I think they're like $55 an hour. Dude, how much are you supposed to pay for this shit? Because that's a little steep.
Dude, 50 an hour, to get you out of the gate. Yeah, 50 an hour. Now, if you're, spinning the ball and drawing the ball, stuff like that, where you've got the basics down and now you're fine tuning your game, then you'll pay a little extra, for that higher end stuff. But it's one of those, dude, I just want to, I want to have to go drive to get the ball, not be able to walk to get it, so just get me there, yeah.
Man, I started getting a fever the other day, and, of course, Tiger's been making a little bit of comeback. He's been doing pretty good in those last two tournaments, so I watched a little bit of Bay Hill that was on. And, man, when you watch those guys and then the club selection, what they're trying to do with the ball, and, I watch golf, every here and there, but it's not like I've been a golf fanatic. But, of course, when you get into golf, for some reason, you just go full in, and now you're hooked. Oh, sure. So now I'm over here, tapping the veins in my arm. I'm ready to go hit a bucket. But, dude, when you watch those guys, just the selection of the club, how they're playing it, whether it's got a dog leg or anything like that, dude, those guys are so specific with the selection. And even talking with Neil about the pitch of his pitching wedge, 58 degrees 60, the face of my driver, a 9.5 or a 10.5, all this rigid, regular shaft, stuff like that. When I was out there, the few times that I did play, an actual game of golf, I kind of know what club I need as far as my irons go, whether it's a short shot, this, that, or whatever. But, man, those guys, but at the end of the day, I'm a caveman swinging a club. Those dudes are high-level athletes that are doing the same thing over and over again with, repetition and the same consistency. And that's why they're the best in the world. But you watch somebody like that, man, it is really amazing to me now to watch those guys do what they do now that I'm getting turned on to the game.
Oh, dude, those guys hit, 500 to 1,000 balls every day. They've all got they're professionals, yet they have a full-time coach, that works with their swing, to get to that level. Oh my God, but I mean, they're professionals. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, to put that much effort into your hobby, you and I can't do it. Even with a tee box at my house, dude, I hit about 40 balls and I'm like, dude, I'm over it. I go and get my little golf ball picker up deal and walk around there in my flip flops and a beer and, go pick up the balls. I'm like, all right, let me go shoot a dozen arrows or so, and that's about all I've got for that, and let's go inside the house and do something. My game is getting better to the point where, now I'll look at the card before I tee off and look at how the hole lays out, figure out, you can't hit driver on every hole. Right. There's some times where the way the hole lays out, I may tee off with a 6-iron. I'm humble enough to know that if there's, if it dog legs to the left, I'm not going to, shower down on my driver and go over the top of all those trees like a drone and magically land on the green. No, you try something like that, that golf ball is MIA. Just hit it down the middle of the fairway like the 72-year-old guy that did it right in front of you and just keep playing on.
Dude, I got a friend. He used to be on the Broken Skull Challenge with me. He's from Vancouver, Canada, and he's like a scratch golfer. And he wants to turn pro by the time he's 50 and play on the seniors tour. Right. And that guy, I mean, he is really, really good. And, he saw a picture of my Instagram post with my club, and I had some range balls out there. I was fixing to, slice and, hook them and worm burner them. Every now and then hit a good one. So he sends me a text message. He goes, "Hey, man, next time in L.A., man, let's go play golf." And he goes, "If you want, have Kristen take a picture of your grip." He goes, "I want to see your grip. And then if she can get a video of your swing, send it to me, and I'll help you out." Dude, right. The guy's an amazing golfer and a real smart guy. Play the shit out of guitar, too. So anyway, I got the video of a couple of my swings. I'll send you one later. So I'm going to send my swings to him. But, dude, when you sit down and watch the brutality of these fucking swings, it's embarrassing because, like I said, when I get a hold of one, I'm sending it. Now, if I had proper technique, I could probably get another 80 yards out of it. But the point is, it just looks like shit. So I'm going to send him the videos. And there's so many things going on at such a catastrophic level. I don't know where he's going to start to begin to dissect my swing.
I do. You know what? The other thing you got to keep in mind, man, is a lot of the real good golfers weren't, ex-wrestlers. You know what I mean? I mean, I love you to death, but you may not be, the most fluid person, to be around, when you're swinging and, trying to, drive your hips through and rotating back. Hey, dude. We all got stuff that hurts: backs, hips, shoulders, knees. Hey, dude, that's, if that's the farthest you can go back, it is what it is. And like you were saying, your one arm don't straighten out. Well, that's gonna, create problems where, your guy's gonna say, "Well, dude, first thing you need to do is straighten out your right arm." Well, really? That's on my list right after I cure cancer. It won't straighten out, dude.
Well, yeah, I'm working with a few physical ailments, but I think I don't go all the way back just because if I go any further back, I think that's another foot or a foot and a half I got to travel, and I've got the 3/4 swing about halfway figured out with cattywampus form, so that's something I'm gonna delve into. But anyway, Teddy, what else you got going on over in Rockport?
Man, it's coming back. Things are looking good around here. Now that the FEMA trucks are winding down, the federal government was running around with those big old trash trucks with the big crane in the middle of them, and everybody was taking, all of the storm-related debris and piling it up on the side of the road. It was really depressing, dude. You're just driving around and you're just seeing, sheetrock and insulation and beds and chairs and appliances and lumber and, everything you could think of, clothes and stuff just piled up on the side of the road. And the government was running those trucks 24/7, gathering all that stuff up. Well, they finally, pulled the plug on that. So, the streets are starting to get cleaner. We are looking at opening about 2 or 3 more new restaurants here in Rockport. For us, that's a big deal. Sushi places getting ready to open up. A lot of the out-of-town contractors have they made their money and burned their customers, and they're back to, whatever rock they crawled out from under waiting for the next storm, and it's starting to calm down, and now it's a long rebuilding process.
I'll be damned. Dude, are you playing softball anymore?
No, dude, I don't have time for that, man. I haven't picked up a bat, shoot in years, and now that the weather's turned, I'm trying to take Sundays off. I mean, we've been going 7 days a week for, almost 4 months, and I mean, thank God my guys, want to make money and, they're not afraid of working because we're going 7 days a week. But no, not doing anything like that. I took off a couple of Sundays ago and went fishing with Andy. But, no.
I was going to ask you about that. You posted that picture of redfish on Instagram. Y'all catching some good ones?
Yeah. And it helps when your buddy is a guide, because they're usually dialed in. And he had a trip the next day with some young people. So we went out just scouting for fish, and, it's very relaxing to get on the water, all catch and release, so yeah, it's big fun.
Yes, y'all just doing it for the fun of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's work for him, because if you can find, a hole full of redfish or trout, they're going to be there the next day, so he can pull up there and throw some lines out and look like $1 million in front of his customers, because they get their string pulled right away. And, the people that are paying for the guided trips, they want meat. They want, a return for their investment.
So when you guys go, it's just catch and release to find the fish. But when the customers go, they're keeping what they can to get their limit. Sure,
absolutely. Yeah, because they don't, I've got access to, I got a freezer full of speckled trout right now. I eat, one meal a week out of it. Got some redfish fillets, so when I want to make ceviche, but dude, as often as I go or have the ability to go, if I kept a limit of fish all the time, it'd all be freezer burnt and ruined.
No sense in it.
Yeah. So no, if I,
what happened with all the technology that's going on? One thing that pissed me off, because I'm going back, man, shit, way back in the day when we spent all our time in Port O'Connor. Every now and then we go to Rockport, but Port O'Connor was where Dad went, so that's where we went. And man, right there on the front bay, just hop in that water. You could wade out there, and getting about probably water up to about almost 3 foot. We were using Coleman lanterns. We had a piece of foil on the back. We had a leader to keep the lantern tilted at an angle, shining down at the water. We're walking with a gig. We got a stringer tied on our belt loop, and we're gigging flounder. You'd see the stingrays settle in, or you'd see them skim by. You scooted your feet when you was walking in grass. And then, all these years later, man, the guys got those damn boats with those high-powered light systems, and everybody started coming through there in the big-ass, flounder boats. Sure. Like, dude, to me, and maybe that's a blast. I've never done it. I just didn't have a desire to do it, because to me, going back to the days, there's nothing like the smell and sound of a Coleman lantern when you got to pump that thing up a little bit and just kind of makes that noise that it makes, and you got your 2 little filaments in there. It's old school, and you put some gas in there. I don't know, the game has all changed, but that was one of my biggest kicks that I used to love to do, was when we went down there at Port O'Connor, we're just walking around there, floundering.
You know what? I mean, it's a society of convenience. Nobody wants to put that much effort into it. I mean, we built our own floundering lights out of a motorcycle headlight and some PVC pipe. Take a motorcycle battery and a gallon thing of bleach. Cut the top off of the bleach container. Cut 2 slots in it so you could run it through your belt. You'd hang that motorcycle battery on that thing. Couple of alligator clips. You'd have a piece of PVC with a 45 on it and a big reducer, a 3x1 PVC reducer. You'd take a motorcycle round headlamp, put it in there, silicone it up so it's watertight, clip them alligator clips onto your motorcycle battery, and just start walking through the shallows, going at that with a little, 5 foot long gig. Yeah, I go out every once in a while with the friends on the flounder boats, and it's cool because everybody can drink and laugh and cut up. But it's also cool just to get off on your own, and do your thing. But nobody wants to put the work in like that.
Dude, I have never heard about the setup that you just talked about. We were Coleman lanterns. No. And we had that thing jerry-rigged with the foil in the back, so it didn't shine out 360. It was 180 towards the water. The leader kept the tilt on it as you held the handle. What I'm not understanding, when you're talking about the PVC, the motorcycle light, I get the fact that you got the battery hanging from your belt, and you got the alligator clips, but what are you holding on to as far as that lantern?
Dude, imagine your driver. Imagine your driver with the head angled down like that, right? It goes down to the head, and then it 45's out. Okay, imagine that's a big round PVC reducer, and inside of that is a motorcycle headlamp that you silicone around the edge so it doesn't leak. The wires go up through that hollow piece of PVC be, right? And you're basically holding it like you would be holding your driver. And you're just, swinging it around in front of you, got your gig in the other hand.
And you got that light underwater?
Yeah.
Dude, that's the craziest thing I ever heard of.
Todd Douglas introduced me to that. Little redneckery 101 right there.
Dude, I have never, ever seen or heard of a system like that. Did he invent it?
Oh, you know what? I mean, I think it was passed down through the generations, but no, he came up on that and he was like, man, let's go flounder. And I'm like, all right. So yeah, he built a couple of those things and I was looking at it. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And they worked like a charm. Yeah.
Do you ever see any stingrays out there?
Oh, yeah.
Those are the coolest damn things. A lot of people, boy, them stingrays will kick your ass if you step on them. But if you scoot your feet when you get, that's what my dad said. When you get in a grass patch, scoot your feet. And it's funny because, man, you watch those stingrays come in, and when they kind of come in for a land, and they're just gliding right over the surface of that sand, and they'll settle in. They'll flap, stingray shape.
Yeah.
They just flap their edges, and dude, by the time they settle in, you can just barely see their outline. And a flounder kind of does the same thing, but not as well as a stingray, in my opinion. Right. So that was the thing he always used to stress. He goes, scoot your feet. And so none of us kids ever stepped on a stingray, but they're just a real interesting animal to see because you don't always see them.
No, and now that the water's warming up, we do a lot of, a lot of wade fishing. And in the beginning, I would wear shorts, and now I'm, wearing dry fit pants, just wading pants that once you get out of the water, they're going to dry off real quick. Dude, the jellyfish, you talk about an eye opener, because when you're wade fishing, dude, you're thinking about fish. You're throwing, your lure, your bait out there. You're not really paying attention. And you walk into there and get wrapped up in a jellyfish, which is, and they're pretty small. They're about the size of an orange. But those tentacles hit you on, the inside of your thigh, or if you're, in real shallow water, wrap around your ankle. And boy, you talk about putting fire to you.
Boy, I tell you what, yeah, you ain't kidding. I got lit up by a couple of those. We grew up water skiing in Intercoastal Canal, if you've ever been through there in Porta Conda.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's where we grew up skiing. And every now and then, when you flounder, you see a lot of them flounder, but you never get in them. But yeah, man, going back to what you're saying, man, them things ain't no joke because they will light your ass up.
Yes, sir.
What else is going on, Teddy?
Man, getting ready to go turkey hunting next weekend. Looking forward to that.
Where you going?
Pearsall. Dude, I got hooked up with a guy that has 300 acres, low fence, big bow hunter. I did some work for him, and we started talking, and he was like, dude, man, you seem like a pretty good cat. And I'm like, got you fooled. But I mean, we started talking about, ranching and deer and, just, his theory on deer and my theory on deer. And, just kind of half-ass became, buddies about deer hunting. And he was like, man, like I said, I got 300 acres, low fence. You're welcome to come out anytime you want. And I was like, you got any turkey? And he's like, dude, we're covered up with turkey. I'm like, I will be there next week.
Really?
Yeah. And like I said, he's a big bow hunter. That fits right into, what I want to do because I really want to, go out there and fletch some turkey. So, fingers crossed, we'll head out there, next Friday and see what the place is all about. How bad can it be?
Man, tell that damn story about the time you was hunting on the other side of the high fence down at the Broken Skull Ranch and you was turkey hunting and you had that come to Jesus moment with a reptile.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Down there spring turkey hunting, and me down there by myself. I'm driving around with my headphones on, listening to my music, and going to go out for the evening hunt. So I stopped, kind of close to the feeder, and I set my decoys out, and I was going to drive into the brush and, park my buggy and then go get in my blind. And when I parked the buggy and turned it off, I climbed out, and I was bent over the seat, grabbed my pack, and I could hear something through my headphones, and it sounded like I was picking up static, but I was listening on my iPhone, and I was like, man, there's no way I could be getting static through these headphones. So I hit the pause button, and that's when I heard, about a 5.5 foot rattlesnake coiled up under the cactus, and I was 4 feet away from it. And it was curled up and standing up like they do and just buzzing like a son of a gun. And I was like, good God, you talk about, yeah. It's scary. And I blasted that thing out. But first I took a bunch of pictures of it, because you can't miss a photo opportunity, but it was the craziest thing because, I didn't think anything about, the dangers of, and you've seen millions of snakes down there, and it was like, where is this static coming from? It's like, oh hello. Yeah.
God dang, I was walking the turnbuckle one time, and it was it was an afternoon hunt. And man, I parked there in that little alley we parked at, walking in, had my 308, and god dang, just bigger than Dallas. That's a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, when those things start rattling, it's so intense. And the thing about it was, he started rattling, and dude, I was literally 15 feet from him. And so I'm like, man, this guy's really edgy. So he gave me a heads up, and I'm deaf as a doornail, but I don't wear my headphones out there so I can listen. I was trying to make a little sneak onto the stand because I don't want to be loud. But I walked up on that snake, and I said, man, you got a lot of nerve. I own this place, and I know you're a part of wildlife, but I'm 15 feet out, and you give me a hell of a heads up. And I didn't even do nothing to piss you off. I wasn't even in your comfort zone. I said, dude, I didn't have my ears, no earplugs to put in my ears. And I'm thinking, man, I'm just going to have to take this one for the team because I ain't letting this son of a bitch go.
Right.
Man, crosshairs right on his head. Boom! 308. Missed him bigger than Dallas because he was 10 feet away, or at that point, probably 6 or 8 feet away. But you know how it is when you look through a scope and you're dialed at 100. So on the second shot, I was successful. But then, after that, everything I heard sounded like it was coming through a tin cup. Because I'm blasting my goddamn eardrums out, but I'll be damned. And because the thing about it was, we loved on that stand. We all walked on the same path right there. So if it wasn't me taking him out of the game, he might have messed up somebody's day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a very unique sound. You're not going to hear that and go, well, that's an odd spot for, a mariachi band. What are they doing out here? Yeah, no, you know exactly what it is, when you hear it. Boy, it'll stop you in your tracks. That's for sure.
Dude, one of my favorite stories when me and Kristen was over at Riverside. We were riding on a buggy, and sure enough, coming around that corner, right at the edge of that feed plot, whatever it is, food plot. It wasn't really a food plot, but right there in the corner, right there towards where you head towards Johnny Cash. We ran the corner and said, God dang it, big ass snake, and he was just rattling, and all I had was that Springfield XD9. And which I just got back from the new owners of the damn ranch. I drove down there and they'd found it. I thought it had bounced out. I'd stuck it between the mattress. They was moving the mattress and found my gun and had the kindness and the respect to call me. And I went over and picked my gun up. But anyway, so back to the rattlesnake. I said, God dang, I want to shoot that damn thing, but I ain't got no ears. Kristen's smart as a whip. She got 2 degrees. She's way smarter than me. She goes, I'll stand behind you and put my fingers in your ears. I said, well, that's great. Who's going to put their fingers in your ears? And she goes, oh, you got a point. I said, so anyway, I told Kristen to put her fingers in hers, and that's when I've told you the story a million times. I hunched my shoulders up. Have you ever tried to hunch your shoulders up while you're just standing there to cover your eardrums?
Yeah.
It don't work.
No.
So I got the 45 turned sideways. I've got my left ear just a little bit blocked off. The right ear ain't doing shit. I pumped about, dude, this is straight up truth, 8 or 9 shots in the general direction in the cattywampus position. And dude, with a pistol, I'm pretty handy.
Yeah.
But with that type of form and technique, that son of a bitch hauled ass, and we never saw him. Somebody's probably still running, but goddamn, I was going to give him hell.
That's the old Grand Theft Auto shooting form, tilt the gun to the side and try to shoot it like that. Yeah, it doesn't always work.
Dude, it was a joke. Hey, man, one of the things, I went out to Nevada, and I went out there to the shooting range, and it's real handy because it's just a couple miles from the house. And I went out there, and I've been trying to order some steel targets. And you and me, you had the shooting range down at the Broken Skull. We, had our table, had our paper targets, had the whole setup. I go out there and I was like, man, this is cool. I'm going to pop a couple of caps off and, go about my merry way. Dude, it ain't no fun when you ain't got no targets. And it's such a complicated process, not really, but it is, to order steel targets. And, shooting paper kind of sucks. So I was shooting at a friggin' rock. It was about, I don't know, about as big around as if you put your 2 hands together, like I don't know, it's about a 6-inch by 6-inch rock on top of a levee because of the distance markers that they got out there. So here comes some other dude. He's coming out to the shooting range, and he says, "Hey, man, I'm going down range." I said, "Cool." So, I took my shit out, laid my gun on the table. He put his paper targets out, and there I am, over there shooting at a rock on top of a levee while he's over there shooting at a fucking target. So, nonetheless, I spooled it up and took my ass home. So I've got some targets on order right now so I can goddamn shoot with some proper shit to shoot at.
You know what, man? We've got an indoor shooting range here in Rockport that, it's got about 4 or 5 bays. It's about 50-yard long, which is more than enough for a handgun.
Oh, absolutely.
And those guys that I fish with, Andy's a retired cop, and Mills is a judge and stuff like that. And those guys all get together, once a month and go down to the range and, shoot pistols. So I'm going to, start doing that. I haven't shot a gun, since ranch days.
Dude, I was checking into it because I got a shop over there at the new place, and I was figuring, hey man, do an indoor shooting range. Sounds dumb because you got the 90% of Nevada is BLM, so you can damn near shoot anywhere.
Right.
But if I didn't want to leave my compound, go in there, they take a 40-foot shipping container, do all this HEPA filters or whatever you call it on it. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think it's way too expensive to delve into. But when I'm not going to do the indoor shooting range, but the other day when I was hitting that damn golf ball, I was like, you know what? You can get a system like this. What do you think it costs for one of them systems, Teddy? Couple grand?
One of those, the video deals?
Yeah, you just hit, all you do is put some foam on
dude.
the wall, and then it projects the thing, and you just dial it in. That don't seem like it'd be too expensive.
Oh, dude, I think you could pick one of those things up cheap, man, because I would imagine they sell a homemade setup like that, or a home setup like that on Amazon or something, man. I think that would be totally cool. I could see a lot of late night drinking and hitting golf balls and in the shop. Yeah, I think that'd be
tells
fun.
you where the ball went. It tells you your miles per hour and all that shit. And if I wanted to, I could record my swing on my iPhone or put a camera up or whatever and watch myself. Because sometimes, I like going down to the driving range, but half the time at night I'm bored to death. I want to go do something. It's not like I'm mechanically inclined. I'm going to go rebuild a motor or anything in the shop. So if I'm hooked on golf, and it just seemed like a good way to kill some time and get better at golf.
Oh, dude, you know what? I mean, you go to the driving range, and if you're doing something wrong and you can't see yourself, how are you going to correct it? Then you start trialing and erring and move this. It's like sighting in a gun. Adjust this, do that, do this. It's making it worse. Now we created a different problem. Golf is a tough game, man. It'll be fun for you, I'm sure.
Dude, I was watching this guy on YouTube the other day. He has this fiberglass stick out there. He's measuring angles on this guy. He's showing the body position. He's showing, how his hips and shoulders are over the, he's doing the whole fucking breakdown, right? And then, the dudes that are hosting and say, hey, man, you take a couple of swings. He goes, well, I'm not really good with the driver. I'm really good with the irons. But just for shits and giggles, he hits it with the driver a couple of shots. Dude, he had the most jacked up swing I'd ever. He almost comes down on the ball like a hatchet and then rears back almost like a baseball player and whacks the ball. It was like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. And he's a guy out there coaching these dudes up, telling them all the angles with this fiberglass rod. And then I'm watching the way he hits the ball. I'm thinking, man, what the F is going on?
Dude, that is a whole nother money-making market that you'll start to scratch the surface of, because sooner or later you'll be somewhere and there'll be a golf magazine and you'll be like, you know what, while I'm waiting, I'll go ahead and leaf through this. And man, here's a training aid that this club, it's a practice club, it's a weighted club, it's hinged here, it'll take the slice out, and all of a sudden it's $100 for this, $120 for that, and the next thing you know, you got your garage you are ripe for a yard sale, because you've bought all these little gizmos and gadgets that's supposed to alleviate your slice, alleviate your hook. It's going to get you 10 more yards on your drive. Now, all that stuff is crap. You just practice and, get some lessons and keep practicing.
Dude, I bought my first set of clubs at a garage sale when I was living in Georgia. And then, hell, I think I sold them at a garage sale when I decided that golf wasn't for me. But I got a good driver. I'm going to get fitted for some clubs because I was talking to Jimmy today, and he goes, man, you got to get fitted for some clubs if you're going to be serious about it. You ain't got to buy no high-dollar clubs.
Correct.
You know, it's kind of like the old story about, like, you know, the guy comes to the pool hall, and he's got the case, and he opens the case, and he puts the stick together, and then there's the old fat guy across the pool hall, and he goes and grabs the crooked stick out of the rack and just smokes the guy like it's nobody's business. So I do know I hit better with the club that I bought versus the loaners. So I'm going to get me some damn clubs eventually. I'm going to get me some lessons, and I'll bring myself up to speed, and we can do the annual Austin Fowler Classic.
I'd be good for that. Yeah.
Well, hey, man, it's good catching up with you on Twitter and on Instagram. You're still at TedFowler361, correct?
Yes, sir.
Keep it locked down there, Teddy.
I will do it.
Good talking with you.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Hey everyone, I'm Wade Keller, and it's WrestleMania season. So be sure to subscribe to the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast here at PodcastOne. I produce 2 new shows each week. Every Thursday on our flagship show, I'm joined by a co-host from the wrestling journalism field to talk about the hot topics in WWE and elsewhere. Every Friday, I'm joined by a guest who has worked in the wrestling business, including ex-WWE creative team members like Kevin Eck, talking about Drew McIntyre.
Drew was a young guy, and did it go to his head, and did he walk around like he was the chosen one? He did, and I was frank with him, and I said, Drew, just so you know, this is how they view you.
And PodcastOne's own Christian Harloff, talking about his days working for WWE and Vince McMahon specifically.
As far as the perception of him, I mean, he's the king. He walks in, and it's just, you can feel it. I mean, if the force was real, you would feel the force powering into the room when he enters.
And pro wrestlers, including NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis, also known as Magnus, talking about the challenges facing Ronda Rousey as she transitions from MMA to WWE.
I'm sure if you asked Ronda, she'd probably say that this moment is the result of hundreds of people's work, meticulous preparation and planning and timing and everything, and now suddenly it's like, go! And that can be very overwhelming.
Just search Wade Keller on Apple Podcasts or on the PodcastOne app or anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast right off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to say thanks to Ted Fowler for joining me on the podcast. Good shooting the breeze with you and catching up. And I'm fixing to get my ass in the gym. Today I'm training shoulders and legs. And I am going to bust ass in the gym and have a great workout and get a little bit of cardio in. Hey, man, if you're looking for some badass T-shirts, I got some. My Broken Skull Ranch T-shirts are at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. And I got a damn good beer for you, too. My IPA is the best IPA on the planet. Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. You can find Broken Skull IPA at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California. And if you ain't in Cali, check out InsideTheCellar.com and see if they ship to your state. If you're looking for a badass pocket knife, which I highly recommend everybody should have, look no further than my badass Cold Steel Broken Skull knife or my badass Cold Steel Working Man's knife. You can get them both at my new Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin. And I want to say thank you very much one more time to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Hey, folks, I am on social media, Twitter and Instagram, at Steve Austin, BSR. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin. We'll have James Ellsworth on the Tuesday show, and I'll catch your ass down the road.
This has been a PodcastOne production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.